All right. It's still today with John and Helen. I'm still all by myself. I'm still hoping that Fumi will join us as John Senaya is still far away in America enjoying himself. To help us answer all of the questions and some of the questions that you may have concerning how we can care for our elderly is a woman who for many years has cared for giving comfort and the well-being of the elderly. She's taken that seriously and she has dedicated time and resources to ensure that she achieved this. Mrs. Elizabeth Aina Scott is a veteran public relations and communication expert who worked with the Nigerian Television Authority for many years, 33 years to be precise, rising to the highest professional cadre as Zonal Director, Ibadan and Lagos Network Centers. An educationist and one who is very passionate about caring for the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs of the aging adults. She is here to help us. Please welcome Mrs. Elizabeth Aina Scott, Sparks of Life Master Practitioner and founder, Hebron Love and Care Center. It's such a pleasure, Ma'am, to have you join us today on the show. Hello, Madam.
Thank you. Thank you, Helen. Thank you for the introduction and all the details you gave about Mrs. Elizabeth Aina Scott. Hello, viewers. Sure, your day is going on fine.
And apologies for keeping you waiting a little longer than we should.
Well, we were all part of the system, and we know that, just like you said,
I love
things
that.
can crop up at the last time. So,
Thank you.
no
Thank
problem.
you. Okay, one area that I am very curious about while I was going through your CV is that area where they talked about the Sparks of Life Master Practitioner. Do please explain what this means, even to the subject of aging and elderly.
Well, Spark of Life, it's a new model of philosophy for care. And it concentrates more on how you can reignite the spirit of the elderly. Now, by reigniting, we mean bringing out the spark, the once evident spark in their lives when they were growing up. And so all efforts that you can do, how to do it, it's all that we have studied in Spark of Life. And for as many as have enjoyed the treatment, the care, the Spark of Life model of care, they have actually gotten excited about it. And we have, in some cases, attained remission.
Okay. All right, so we're talking about caring for the elderly. You run a center where the elderly, the aging come to receive, to get a spark, back into their lives. Talk to me. What are the major challenges that you have experienced over the years, and especially now that you're more dedicated to this assignment? What have you discovered as the major areas of challenge for the elderly?
Now, number one, let me talk about the challenges, then I'll tell you about the challenges coming from the elderly. When you are dealing with elders, we are trying to make sure that we sustain them with unconditional love. So that area, I face a lot of challenges from staff because, as it is said, you cannot give what you don't have. And training, sometimes there are some people that are not trainable. So there is a challenge of staffing. The number two, funding. That's naturally common. And so I don't want to talk too much about it.
Okay.
But in taking care of the elderly, you are totally committed, totally dedicated. It's a 24-hour service, especially for those who are living with dementia. Now, the challenge we face from the other side, the elderly, is because there is a restriction, a resistance in accepting the fact that that is the state where they have found themselves. It's not easy getting old,
Denial.
but yeah, they live in self-denial, especially when it's dawning on them that those things that they were doing before, they can no longer cope with it. So there is a lot of resistance at this stage, a lot of self-denial, and the carer has to struggle with them accepting. A lot of them will resist care. A lot of them will tell you, I'm not a child, so I don't need any care. And so we face resistance. My hand. We
Yeah.
face resistance day in, day out on making sure that we we get them to accept that they need care.
Okay.
So that is one. Then, even on their part, the family part, they are also uh, funding is also a major problem because I tell you the truth, it's not easy to take care of the elderly. It's very expensive, and the process is gradual from what they can do to what they cannot do. What they cannot do keep on increasing, keep on enlarging, and so the expenses also goes with it. So those are the major challenges that we face, but somehow we are coping, you
Thank you.
know.
All right. I was actually going to talk about the family angle because this is a family show. And once upon a
Yeah.
time, there were no homes and centers for the aging. You know, the family system was such that their aging could be adequately supported and taken care of within the confines of the family. What happened to that?
Well, it's gone because a lot of people are pursuing their daily bread. They're professionals, and we don't have time. Now we have imbibed so much of Western culture, and it's like you and the nuclear family, and everybody now goes to work. They're busy with their profession. So, for those who can afford it, they seek for help in an assisted facility center. For those who can averagely afford, they look for carers. They bring in uh, carers, caregivers into their homes for care. But I was shocked at the first experience that you told us that a young girl killed somebody that they had been nursing for a while. And it's becoming common now. It's becoming common. So it's always very important that whoever you are bringing to your home, you make sure the person goes through a lot of security checks.
Sure. All right. Aging, like you said, it comes with a lot of challenges. And one of them is mental alertness, withdrawal, and depression. How rampant is this? We could just assume that this is more, in the Western world. Yeah, that because of our makeup here, we're able to cope and adjust. Am I right here?
I don't think I agree entirely with that statement because even now, we are waking up daily to discover new cases of dementia, new cases of mental health problems. And you can see it all over. So much challenges coping with living daily, so much frustration. And when you are old, you don't have adequate care, you are likely to fall into that kind of situation. Now, a lot of people who have mental health could be as a result of rejection, feeling of rejection, a lot of isolation. When all the professionals in the home, the children, they've gone to their work, the poor woman, the poor man is left in the house with a carer that is a stranger who does not know the woman and who is now saddled with the problem of having to take care.
Yeah.
So And you find out that there's always that generational gap creates a distance. They cannot relate, especially when there's language barrier or cultural barrier. So there are lots of problems. So they might have people, but they're still lonely because the carer cannot relate effectively.
Yeah.
And most carers, even most caregivers, don't take the issue of companionship seriously. They feel that feeding, bathing, and all the basic essential daily activities are more important. But a lot of them are dying. They have things to share. They have words of encouragement to share with people. But the people that are caring for them are not listening. The children are too busy. By the time they come back, it's either mama has slept or they are too tired to engage in meaningful conversation with mama.
Sure.
So they are left alone, isolated, having that sense of rejection. And gradually it goes on. There is bitterness, there is regret, and then it slips into depression.
Okay. All right. Aging, is it a lonely place to be? From your experience, you have worked with them for many, many years. I have become like a counselor in my family. I have an 80 plus years old mother, and my younger ones who are taking care of her, they have, each time I'm speaking with them, they are full of complaints. Mama has changed. Mama is a bunch of trouble now. You don't know mama anymore. It's not the same mama that you know. And I keep talking to them. I'm like, you were worse than this as a baby. You cannot even fathom how much attention, how much time, how much sacrifice she put into at the point where you were even worse than where she is at now. I am every day having to pump up my younger ones, in terms of how they would relate and love unconditionally my mother at this point in time. It's a lonely place, Talk to us about what we must do on the family level, individual level, to help aging become a better process in life.
Thank you very much. Well, it could be lonely depending on what investment you have made as you are growing up. And it could be fun, also depending on the same issue. Now, everybody will get to that age, whether we like it or not, except something happens and that person is no more. But the prayer of everybody is that you get old. It's not easy to age. It's not easy to cope with the challenges of aging. And for those younger ones, they are looking at mama with the previous experience of how they have known mama. Yes. But right inside her, a lot of things are changing. They are not happy that those things they were doing before, they could no longer do it. And when they employ additional hands, or even their children, they feel that they are giving them a burden because they don't have the time. We are in the age of a digital age of technology, and most of them are busy pressing their phone. And mama is watching. So by the time you come back, it's like, how can you neglect me? I mean, you are not paying so much attention to me. And, they are full of bitterness. They are full of regrets. A lot of them have a lot about their children because the children are not matching up to their expectations. Wow. And I tell you, to be frank with you, it's not easy to take care of the 24-hour service, except you will have no other life. Okay. So usually we employ the hands of caregivers, and you will supervise depending on the time. So they say that there's different perception. The way the elders say it is not the way the children say. They believe mama is 80, should be able to do a lot of things. But then age is nothing. They are so frail. They can no longer stand on their own except somebody pulls them up. walking becomes a burden. And except you have unconditional love, you are likely not to be able to cope.
Okay.
And in our own Spark of Life balance, we define unconditional love as you, the caregiver, whether you are a family person or not, looking beyond all their diseases, all their disability, their difficult behavior, and their the differences. So you have to look behind it for you to connect emotionally with them. And that's why I started with you must have love in your heart. And that love is not give, I say, it is unconditional love, not minding what they do, but you ready to pour down your heart and make sure that you get into their hearts, connect with them emotionally, and then you can succeed in bringing out the spark.
Okay. So there are elderly people, aging people everywhere, every
Yeah.
part of the world, every part of the country. What is government policy? Because this is where you are at the moment. What's government activities? What's government assistance? What's in place, from government, to also help people like you give the elderly a better life?
For now, it's minimal. But I tell you, they have instituted a policy that eventually will come up with support on how to help the elders. You have a whole ministry now dedicated to elderly.
So,
And about 10, 15 years ago, I'll tell you there was nothing on ground. And what is on ground now is just about 5 years or thereabout old.
okay.
So there is still a lot of planning. There is still a lot of policies going on. But I know that I'm hopeful. And somehow I trust the lady there, Tokar, that she's doing a good job. And by the time she's out of that place, she'll definitely have instituted a lot of guidelines, introduced a lot of resources that will help the elders.
Okay.
For now, it's nil.
All right. The elderly are inactive. For someone who probably was a professional and for a lot of his or her life, woke up every morning, went to work, engaged with a lot of people, had events, and was surrounded by people and challenges and opportunities to provide solutions. And all of a sudden, all of this is no more. Really, talk to us about how you make this happen. Yes, you talked about the spark of life thing, but for different people, the psychology is different. How do you help them on a daily basis? And how can you help us individually in our families also, to help our aging members of family?
Thank you very much.
Apart from the
There are
love.
there's so many ways you can. Now, you said something that they were active. What were the things they were doing? They were working. They would go to work, and so they engage with a lot of people. So, what we also try to do is to create some activities which mimic what they were doing and who they were. Now, one of those things, we have social gatherings where they can talk to each other. We have a debate session where they can interact. We make sure that we bring the elders together. They can talk together. We engage them in games. We engage them in recreational activities for those who are still active. And for those who are still in there, who are bedridden, who are not that mobile. For those who can still sit on the wheelchair, we try to bring them to join the fun and they can speak. But if you're on your bed, you cannot stand up. We try to create some, giving them, engaging them in some
Okay. Okay. So
recreational activities like games.
Okay,
You
so
can bring girls to the table
so
and
we
make
should
sure that
try, we
you
should
do.
replicate this even in our homes. You know, get them
Yes, you
involved
should.
in decision making,
Exactly.
get them
Yeah.
involved in the activities that even
Yes.
the strong and the agile, you know, as long
Yes.
as they can participate. Yeah?
Exactly. And
Okay.
try as much as possible to involve them. Whatever care you are giving them, make sure they are part of that decision. Don't exclude them. Give them choices.
Okay.
They love to make choices. They want to love. They want to care.
Yeah.
They want to their self-esteem to be lifted. So don't just put them down. Relate to them as human beings,
Okay.
as
Okay.
if they are still there. For those who can talk, fine. But when they have mental issues, they can no longer take decisions. There are special ways you can get them to convey whatever is going on in their mind through communication and all that.
All
But
right.
that is a special areas. And
Okay.
they enjoy dancing. Don't let me forget that. They love to dance. So we create a lot of activities where there is dancing, where there is singing, where
Wow.
there is
Okay.
a lot of praises. We allow them to express themselves,
Okay.
whichever way.
I'd like to see this as a part one of this show because we could go on and on today. But again, time is our constraint. And at this point, I'd like to say thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And we promise that we'll keep this going. We promise that we'll latch on and do whatever it is that we can do, you know, to make sure that we lay our beds the way we will sleep on them when we also proceed to that position. Thank you so, so very much. This was short notice and you said yes. You're a darling. Always, ma. Thank you very much.
You're blessed.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. The show is still Today with John and Helen. We got you thinking right there. Yes, for all of us, the clock ticks, moving us closer to old age. We're still sharing, impacting, and changing lives for the better. It's Today with John and Helen. We'll take a quick break right about now. And when we return, you will meet our second guest. Stay with us.